Alright, hi y'all. So, I initially made this video, but it was like 20 minutes long of ideas, so I'm gonna try and condense that down to a few basic things. I want to address the fairy house question. Um, there are lots of things that you could do with it. One thing that I would suggest when you see the fairy houses is um, asking if your friend is home, knocking on the doors and being like, hello, hello, oh gosh, she must not be home, I don't know what's going on. She might be a little bit scared because there are a lot of humans here, because humans are very big and most of the time fairies are very little, those kind of things. Draw on the materials that the houses are made out of, like what color is it, and relate that color to a fairy and then relate that fairy to a child. The example that I thought of was purple. Oh goodness, well, you see, my friend Violet lives in this purple house because, you see, she loves purple. That's why she's called Violet. She came from violets, so that's what happens. And so, how many of you have your favorite color is purple? Oh, really? Oh, really? Purple's one of my favorite colors, too. Well, you must have met Miss Violet then, because Miss Violet puts a love of purple in people's hearts and this and that and the other. So when Miss Violet says hi to you or gives you a kiss on the cheek, you gain a love of grapes or purple or Barney or whatever's purple that you can think of. All things purple. So yeah, that kind of thing. A lot of them are going to be nature materials. Draw on all of that, like what is exactly the material that's being used. If it's moss, like talk about how you love swinging on moss hairs and stuff like that. And it's one of the funnest things that you could do. And so that's why they put moss on their roof, because that way they can swing on the moss hairs, or stuff like that. What else? There's gonna be ones made out of burlap, and I was thinking like burlap sacks, like, you could carry things, you could carry potatoes. They could be potato fairies. Oh, that's just one thought. They could be potato fairies, and they could make all of your french fries, and that would make all the kids laugh because french fries. There's one house in particular that I really like, the gourd house. So, like, another thing that you can do is talk about how the house has been threatened before and what you had to do to help the house not be threatened. Threatened. And so I was thinking, like, oh my goodness. Oh yes, this is my friend Stella's house, you see. Oh gosh, something super terrible happened to it a little while ago. You see, a wizard wanted to make it into a soup. Isn't that terrible that he was going to make it into a soup? Oh goodness, I mean, how could you even live in a soup? I don't even know. Would you want your house being made out of a soup? No, you wouldn't. No, I definitely would. Maybe if it was a really good soup, I would like my house to be made out of soup. No, I think I'd rather live in a tree house like I do right now. Like, you can carry on with that. And then talk about how you had to combat this evil that was done to the house or whatever. And I was thinking, oh, well, you see, we had to distract the wizard. So since he was making a soup, we found his pepper. And now pepper is a very, very silly thing. It makes people sneeze. Isn't that funny? It makes people sneeze. And so what we did is we sprinkled a teeny tiny bit on his nose, and it made him sneeze so hard that all of my sisters and the gourd flew out of his house. It was a lot of work to repair the house, but we got it back, and my sister was super duper happy with it. And like pick names of sisters and friends that you can remember, because if they, like, kids pay attention. If I'm talking about my sister Blossom and then I say Stella, they're like, who the heck is Stella? You were talking about Blossom. And I'm like, oh, they all blend together eventually, guys. They will pay attention, so be aware of that. Just be conducive, make sure it all goes together. So yeah, like, think about how you had to save it. It doesn't always have to make sense. I like to add at least one detail in every story that just doesn't make sense at all. You could be like, oh, well, one day a toad thought that her house was a toadstool, and so he decided to sit upon it. Isn't that so super funny? I mean, goodness gravy, there's a very big difference between a house and a toadstool, don't you think? Have you ever tried to sit on top of your... Well, of course, your house is too big to be a toadstool. Oh, gosh. And then you can be like, oh, well, he was sitting on there, and it was so super funny because he was crushing it, and keeping my friend up all night. You see, he kept going, ribbit, 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 all night long. It kept her up. It was super crazy. You know, just any weird details like that. And then, like, again, it doesn't have to make sense. And you could be like, how do you get rid of it, fairy? Oh, yes, well, you see, all frogs love cupcakes. And so we gave him a cupcake, and then he left. Like, it could be that simple, honestly. But the more detail that you put into it, the more it's going to feel real. But, like, that ridiculous mind for detail is, like, it doesn't come super duper naturally. I'm not gonna be, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, it takes a little while to develop these stories into where they're, like, fun little details like that, unless you really are just sitting around thinking about them, which you might be, so yeah, if your stories aren't super duper crazy, that's fine. That'd be fine. What else was there? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the hearts on the doors. Hearts on the doors could be so many things. Oh my goodness gravy. They could be love fairies, they could be heart fairies, they could be hug fairies, they could be anything that makes you feel warm and fuzzy and wonderful. And I think in my other video I gave an example that was, they're the fairies that tell people when they need hugs. Or they're the fairies when you're very, very sad, that come to you and give you kisses, or, they're the fairies that make sure that friends always stay friends, even if they move far away, or, like, just something sweet and sentimental. Be heart fairies and say, oh yes, that's why they have it on their door, so that we can easily find them whenever somebody's sad, because they definitely need a love or heart fairy or whatever you want to call them. What else? What else is on? What else is on the house? I think that's all the house stuff that I have. I might think of more. You might think of more. Please think of more. Go crazy. Have fun. Use your sense of humor. I know you got it. And let's see. I want to talk about the scavenger hunt things. Now, if I'm remembering right,